Here is another session from the series Defense Against Dark Act. We are focusing on developing the knowledge, awareness, mental readiness to prepare our own protection shields against these frauds and intruders. In this session, we'll be discussing about info stealing app related scams. Let's take a look at it, how these kind of scams are being carried out. So the fraudster es- establishes communication with uninformed people using SMS or mails or WhatsApp as the communication channel. They masquerade as company representatives and typically explain a benefit scenario for the receiving people. And as part of the benefit availing process, they send a link, and usually this link is malicious. Uninformed people responds with excitement, and they click on the link to avail the benefit. And uh, clicking on this link usually triggers a silent installation process of the app. And the moment the app gets installed, the fraudster gets access to confidential data, and then the fraudster carries out malicious transactions, and people end up becoming a victim of info stealing app related scams. And the benefit scenarios could be anything like cashback, discount on bill payment, sometimes revoking a penalty or late fee, um, offering free vouchers, free holiday travels, and sometimes job specific benefits, which essentially um, contains the links for having the apps installed. Usually, the benefit scenarios, when these are presented in such manner, there could be some data that has originally been breached. Um, you know, the fraudster may get access to some historical information of your transactions, card transactions, or bill payment, or um, you know, any sort of payment transactions, and they leverage that historical data and they try to develop their benefit scenarios around it so that it looks authentic. And this is how they try to gain your confidence on this matter. Now, what would be a counter strategy for this? Um, Counter strategy would be to respond with level headedness and clarity of thoughts and validate the situation. So, if you are experiencing similar kind of attempts, and if you're receiving certain communication which promises the kind of benefits and also contains malicious link, you need to respond with level-headedness, and you need to analyze the situation clearly. And if this is a kind of a communication where the person is engaged with you, of course, the fraudster would sense that you are in the process of analyzing the situations, and you try to exert pressure to make you decide promptly without really wasting much of time. And um, that pressure usually would be the time when you will have to take a decision on the next course of actions. So you'll have to communicate as much needed, collect all the data that you will need for analyzing the situations, and then you need to break off for offline validation. This is usually the approach that you can follow to protect yourself from becoming a victim. So there are a few recommendations while you will be carrying out similar situation analysis and due diligence on deciding the next course of action. Uh, Clicking on an unsafe link can result into downloading and installing malicious software. And these are the usual phishing attack and these approaches are adopted by fraudsters, and there are various you know ways that they have um, invented to increase the success rate. Now, you should be very careful before you click on a particular link when you're not sure what the link might be uh, taking you to. Now, there are certain methods that you will first have to apply to validate the legitimacy of the sender itself. So let's say if you have received this um, description of the benefit scenario and the links over an email, you need to exactly validate, whether the sender of the email is a legitimate sender or not. If you don't know how to do that, there is a video in this series which describes the methodology that you can adopt to validate an email. If the link is sent to you through an SMS, you should be knowing that the SMS sender, if the SMS has come from a company, because of course the benefit providers will have to be a branded company, uh, it is mandated in India by Telecom Regulatory Authority of India that the company SMS sender should have an address which will be in the format of uh, two letters and then hyphen and then six letters, something like AA hyphen ABCDEF. And the last six letters, ABCDEF, uh, will be representing the brand of the company. It should be, looking similar to the brand name of the company. And the first two letter A is, representing the telecom operator who has sent the SMS on behalf of the company. Now, if you have received the link and the details over an SMS, you need to validate the sender address of the SMS, and you can try to make out from there whether the sender is looking legitimate or not. Now, if you have received a link, a short URL, a link, there are ways to validate the legitimacy of the link itself. And there is a content available in this series which describes how to validate a website URL, a link, a short link, and you can take a look at it and you can understand the way to validate the link itself before clicking on it, before taking any action on it. And in addition, there are websites available which offers kind of a assessment on the email or message text, and try and describe if they detect a phishing URL on that particular content. So there are certain websites, publicly available websites that are capable to do these checks. Few of the examples are mentioned here on your screen. You can use one of these, or you can look up for more similar kind of websites which has the capability to detect phishing URL from a content. So when you are having these interactions, a potential line of interaction should lead you to assess the genuineness of the scenario. And of course, you can evaluate based on the communication mode. If it is an email, you can validate the authenticity of the email, the legitimacy of the email. If it is an SMS, you can validate the legitimacy of the SMS sender. Irrespective of the communication mode, you can validate the content. And if the content, the senders, everything looking suitable, if it is looking like trying to lead you towards installing an app which seems to be legitimate, you will have to check the feedback of the app. If it is a legitimate app, if it is in the market store, either in Google Play or in Apple Store, you will have you will be able to see the feedback of the app by feedback given by other users, and you will have to evaluate from those users whether from those users' feedback whether the app is safe to use or not. If any user is reporting suspicious behavior from the app, you can take a note of it. You can understand that installing the app might not be a suitable way forward. In general, when you're having a conversation from the person who is describing the benefit scenarios, you should definitely ask questions to understand more details on the scenario itself. Like, for example, whether this is a benefit that is already disclosed on the company's website. What are the criteria that one has to match to avail the benefits, and how those criteria are being applied on your credentials and things like that. So getting at details of the exact scenario would help you to uh, evaluate mindfully the legitimacy of the situation, the legitimacy of the transaction as well. In case you're becoming suspicious, if you're sensing that this could be a fraudulent communication, you should report the communication. You should report the number. You should report the the reason for your suspicion to Government of India's Chakshu portal, and you can see the URL on your screen. All right, this is how you can approach a kind of you know uh, the scenarios. If these are matching with the kind of situations that you're dealing with right now, you can approach with the recommended steps to carry out a situation analysis and a due diligence on identifying the next course of actions. And this should, help you to protect yourself from becoming a victim. We'll come back with more recommendations and suggestions for different other types of attacks. Stay tuned.